Hello there, wherever you may be watching or listening. This is Melbourne Real, coming to you live from the world's most livable city, Melbourne, Australia. I'm your host, Tony Jack the Bear Mantz. I'm a master engineer. I'm an inspirational speaker. I'm a nice fellow. And alongside me today is my co-host, bass player, singer, songwriter from Damn, The Maps, and all-round sweetheart and knower of many, 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 many things, Mr. Martin Green.
Hello.
Hey, mate.
How are you?
Bloody awesome, actually.
Who have we got on the show?
Well, today we've just been lucky enough to get onto a guy called Grant Eagles. And Grant is a friend of Christian and Nicole Doherty, who we had on the show recently. And I caught up with Grant. We had a chat, and I was really fascinated with his story. And Grant's got a website, granteagles.com, and we'll put up the start and again later. And Grant will give us the full breakdown. But he's a corporate guy who just decided one day to call it a day. Quit his job, went over to overseas and hung out with the shamans in Peru, and is now doing a lot of shamanic work and DMT ceremonies and ayahuasca ceremonies and all kinds of wonderful things, psychic work, all that kind of stuff. So anyway, Grant, good to have you on the show, mate.
Thanks, guys. Thanks.
Thank you for coming on today. We have no idea what to expect, and I love these kind of shows because it just leaves us open to whatever the infinite possibility could be. But so tell us your story, mate.
Definitely.
How what's the journey to get into this seat right now? Apart from getting through Nick and Christian, of course, but yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Would have started when the GFC happened in 2007. I quit that job and took a little bit of time off and was having a look around and found a job.
What was the job? What were you working as? What were you doing there?
I was working as a fleet controller for KNS Raiders, so organised madness.
Yeah, okay.
Phone never stopped and all the rest of that. And joined Freemasonry at the same time that I moved into working at Downer.
When you joined Freemasonry, did you approach them or did they approach you?
A bit of both.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, so you just knew some people and then they sort of...
My grandfather was one.
There we go. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
And then, had some conversations with some people who assisted me with the surgery of removing my head from my own backside.
Okay, right. Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
And then, looked at those rites of passage and then, moved into that area.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, then from there, done my time at Downer, learned a lot, done the whole PD circuit and all the rest of that. And then, got to that point where it was like, I've had a gutful here. And
Down as a corporate...
Yeah.
Down as a company, right?
Yeah,
right,
a major infrastructure company. I was looking after...
thought that there was a way of saying I was tired of being down. I've done my time at Downer. It's time to move on and upwards.
Yeah, well, I had a bit of a motto when I was there. I won't repeat it here, but
Okay, all right, you don't have to. Yeah. Sorry, I was curious.
Yeah, so, and then from there, followed more of a mystical path. Lake Titicaca kept on popping up synchronistically. And then, had a chance meeting with a merchant banker up in Sydney Qantas Club who gave me some beautiful advice with not chasing the ghost. So within about 3 days after that, I walked into Flight Centre and booked me flights and went and resigned. And everyone thought I was going a bit batshit crazy. Sorry for the tongue, but... And then, started to prepare for that journey. And then, got to Peru, done a ayahuasca retreat.
Is that in Lake Titicaca or?
Nah, that was in Pisac.
Okay.
And then straight after that, I done a fast. Now, that was probably the hardest thing I've ever done.
How many days?
That was 8.
8-day fast.
Yeah,
I've done 5.
By day 3, I was a mess. Like, through sport, I'd had, I think about 8 or 9 cortisone injections and all types of stuff. And just to have all that coming out of me, I was a bit of a mess there.
What were you doing in that fast? Briefly, just quickly.
Yeah.
So you obviously you're drinking water.
Yep.
Juice
Juice in the morning.
Yep.
Soup broth at night.
Broth. Yep.
And drinking ayahuasca as well.
Ayahuasca on an empty stomach. Boom. Okay, great.
Yeah.
All right. Yep.
Yeah. So,
all right. So no fibre or any colon cleansing stuff or anything like that? No.
There was some tonics that I had on day 2 and day 5.
Yep.
Yeah, they were nasty, but they seem to have done the job.
Yeah, great. Yep. So your shit was all green?
Oh, I couldn't even tell you. It was just, I had aliens coming out, really.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. It was just, what was it then? 28 years of toxic crap. Just,
Yes. Yeah. I understand completely. Yeah, it sucks. But how was food the first time that because you would have started, obviously, if you've been instructed correctly, to start with like some soup or something like that. What was that first meal like?
Well, I was told to do that, and I didn't. I straight away after the fast, I woke up after the fast. I just need chicken soup.
Right. Yep. Okay.
Chicken
sure.
soup. That's all I wanted. So found this
Chicken soup for the stomach.
Yeah, found this little joint, and I hadn't learned any Spanish. So I was pretty good at charades. That's how I was communicating. And then I said to the guy, I just wanted some chicken soup, and he turned around to me and goes, "Well, how fresh do you want the chicken?" And I go, if it's fresh, it's
Sort
good.
it out, man. Yep.
And then I heard, "Back, back, back." Psh. Yeah, so I had some fresh chicken, that's for sure.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Yep.
How'd you feel after that?
Oh, gold. And then, that gave me the opportunity that day after that. I went and spent some time up in the ruins and, had this condor come down and, had some pretty crazy experiences with that. And that's what really got my mind into a state of, we'll say, more of a multi-dimensional capacity. Some things happen there I really can't explain. And then, hired a shaman as my travel guide, and then from there went down to Umura and done a ceremony there. And then, Lake Titicaca, Island of the Sun and Island of the Moon. And when I got to the Island of the Moon, that's when I knew right then and there that I'd set this up, maybe 1,000 years ago or whatnot. Because when I got to the Island of the Moon there, as soon as my feet were on that island there, I just fell. Like, I was literally, shaking, and these ladies came and picked me up and chanting and doing all this type of stuff, and dragged me to this area there and done ceremony there, and it was, I don't really know what happened, but it was pretty magical.
Yeah. So how does one? There's so much talk about shamanism, and a lot of people now going doing ayahuasca over in South America and whatnot. And I guess now it's developed to a point where there's a lot of commercialism and people who are who claim to be this and that and have these kind of powers or come from this lineage. So to the layperson who probably, I don't think just the average layperson would want to go over on a plane and do that kind of thing. That stuff usually is fairly well researched beforehand.
For the adventurous types, perhaps.
So for that person for the first time, done the research, feels resonates with this, feels okay, I feel a calling, if you will, and goes out there. So how does one in that position go into it and get some kind of comfort or knowledge in knowing that, the person they're dealing with is the real deal, or that they're well credentialed to experience, other than just taking their word? Is it just a feeling thing, or is it well known that, look, these guys are, these are great practitioners, they've been doing it for a very long time, they're experienced, and these guys are kind of new kids on the block or unproven quantity? Like, how does an average layperson work it all out? They go over there, mate.
Really good question. There are a lot of charlatans, as we know, even here in Australia as well. For me, speaking about it, it would be when it's your time, you'll find that path. But there tends to be a sense of urgency at the moment with people wanting to uncover their mysteries and probably forcing a lot of the things. So for me, at the start, I wanted to go to the jungle to do it. But then I held back, not making the call right then and there. And then it was like, okay. And then as soon as I seen some stuff happen in the Sacred Valley and stuff like that, I was like, okay, cool. And then when I got to the Sacred Valley, specifically Pisac, that's where I knew I was in the right place, because it was a community of essentially people from all over the world that had kind of gone to Pisac and gone like, well, this is home now, and
so they make it their permanent place of residence?
There was a lot of people there.
Right.
I reckon I met probably a good dozen Aussies that had gone there, even just to pass by, and when you get there, you're looking up at ruins, and it's a magical place. They're going, this is home now. And the visa issue, you just slip a $20 note when you do a border run, and you got another stamp for 3 months.
Right. It's as easy as that.
Simple.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you learned. So where'd you learn all the shamanic? So I mean,
for me, it was a bit different.
Who taught you, and how did that all develop, and how did that?
Well, with the Freemasonry and the Rosicrucians, understood a lot about ceremony and initiational processes and followed more of a mystical path. So when I walked into the ayahuasca, I'd had an understanding, because by then I could already access the other side of the void and was communicating with my higher self and stuff like that. So with that there, and just allowing the process in Peru, when I got back, that was probably the biggest point where it was like, all right, well, what do I do now? Do I learn? And what happened then was the ceremony that I'd done at Amore Mora essentially came back in a full visionary state. And it was that there where, that message of everything that you know from the past is present in you now. So then I was like, all right, well, how do I tap into that? So rather than going through a learning process, I went through a remembering. So then I set myself up for about 6 months of NLP, hypnotism, anything I could get my hands on, and really started to go through that there and starting to dabble into my more inquisitive stuff. And that's when the Akashic records started to open up, and some other pretty crazy experiences that I really thought I was losing my mind.
Do you want to explain to people the Akashic record, what the Akashic record is, and what shape, form it takes? And
the Akashic record, best way of explaining it would be like a library in the earth that has major events in history and in people's lives as well. And
in the past or
in the past,
yep.
And if you look at it, some people have the capacity to look at it in the future. At the moment, right, you really can't see past 2 weeks. We're on fluid ground at the moment, but you can see certain markers and certain events that we're leading towards. So that's very interesting with that capacity there as well.
So in terms of being able to see 2 weeks ahead, you can sit down with someone like myself or Martin and be able to tell us in 2 weeks what's ahead for us in 2 weeks, or is that something you're not allowed?
The potentials of the energy carrying, like the start of a year, you could probably see right through to I'd say the middle of next year, like quite clearly. And then with some things that happened at the end of July, it became very foggy. So even a lot of powerful psychic friends that I know, they're looking at things at the moment, going, wow, we're in a state of no time. Like everyone would be noticing at the moment, it feels like you've got like 18 hours in a day and stuff like that. So I can say by February it'll feel like you've only got about 14 hours. So those collapsings of timelines are happening more and more paramount at the moment. Yeah,
isn't that probably more perception? If time really doesn't exist.
That's what's happening, right. Where from a third dimensional perspective and the fourth, they're actually overlaying each other at the moment. There's people that I've spoken to, it's happened to myself, where, you'd be looking at a door and the door will just not be there. And then it'll be there again. Like it happened the other day to me, I'm sitting there, on my computer with my mouse and I'm looking at my hand and there was no mouse there. So that's what I mean. Those perceptions of a reality are really falling apart at the moment. It's scary in one sense, because the body kind of doesn't know how to react to it. You just need, I just need to have a breath here, and that did happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. It's interesting. So you came back and with all this newfound skill, knowledge, awareness that you came back with. So what did you decide to do with it, and how'd you go about implementing all that?
Yeah. Look, I started coaching and.
Life coaching.
Yeah, life coaching. Yeah, started doing some. I'll class it as shamanic consultations. Just it's easier that way, where people who are going through their own awakening process or had questions, or there was some that, for instance, a young guy, Jeremy, about when was that? It was about a year and a half ago. Yeah, an amazingly talented individual who kind of got lost in a lot of the misinformation side of things and stuff like that, and was able to help him out. And like he's in India at the moment in an ashram just waiting. Like he's very special individual, that fella. Like some of his capacities are unreal. He was the first person I actually seen do telekinesis.
Right.
Yeah, that buzzed me brain, that did.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you think it's a case of all of us though have some, well, my understanding is, and what a lot of people have said, we all kind of have psychic ability.
Everybody has. It really comes down to three, whether you're more clairaudient, clairsentient, and or clairvisual in a sense, and then adapting how you want to see things like that there. Speaking a bit earlier, if anybody wants to really start to get into more of that there, is do a detox or cheat and go get colonic therapy done and clear your colon area. So then you can start to connect with your dream state. So when you're in your dreaming state, you can start to process the information in your physical body. Then you'll start to notice the synchronicities from your dreams, and your physical reality start to come together. And those breadcrumbs will lead you. Like, I think a lot of people are getting confused at the moment with following synchronicities in numbers and stuff like that. And that's essentially your higher being going, you're on the right path. But when you're able to integrate your dreaming body into your physical reality, that's when the magic really starts to happen. Where you got to sit there sometimes and go, wow, did that really just happen? And it did. And the more that you kind of tune into that, it'll bring you more into the present moment as well, and give you the flexibility to go, all right, cool, what do I actually feel like doing right now? And start to act on that there. And that'll move you up into your middle kingdom with your heart. And that's where you have what people are classing as your manifestation abilities and stuff like that, to really just start to follow your passion, really. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So who's typical, the kind of people who will come and see you, and what kind of things do you offer them and do to get them on their way?
All types. That's why I led into the coaching, because a lot of people that are starting now to want to know a bit more about themselves, but have probably been stuck from conditionings of a past. So they'll come to me just with normal guidance type stuff there, where I won't get too much into the mystical or the spiritual things, but really just help them get clarity, balance, and lighten them up. And then from there, that's when, they'll start to have some more profound dreams, and then they can come with the questions. Like with myself, whether it be psychically or reading the Akashic for people and helping them out, has to come from a question. Like, I can't just do it out of the sake of that. For me, that's a violation of free will. So when they can come with those type of questions, that's an initiational right for me to go, okay, they're ready. But then that's when some of the riddles come up as well, because it's like, well, I can't actually tell you, but I can give you a nudge in the right direction.
Yeah, in the right direction.
Exactly.
Because we were saying before, because everyone wants certainty, man. Everyone's looking for certainty. Everyone wants to kind of know, have the comfort of knowing. This is why, so many people go to psychics, because they just want to be told it's going to be okay. They need someone else to validate for them, rather than them being able to just kind of just sit with themselves and just realise that everything's going to be okay. Yep, life is weird. It's wonderful. It's twists. It's turns. It's not linear. It goes all over the place. But if I can just kind of live in a state of just an inevitability that it's all going to be good, then everything else kind of seems a lot easier. So do you think that's more the case?
Definitely. And then there's a backdrop to that as well. With the changing of energies that's going on at the moment, a lot more people are starting to feel the compression of... A lot of people are talking about ascension with going up, but it's actually the other way around, where we're starting now to be able to connect with our higher selves or our higher beings. And as that starts to become more present into our energy field and our awareness, the curiosity is being struck. And when that comes there, that comes the question as well of, well, hang on a moment. And then the mystery, the great mystery of who you are starts to become the big question, rather than, next month's bill or, those type of things there. So you start to move from one state into another. So it's interesting times. It's great to watch.
Yeah. So who are we? So who are we?
Well, at the moment, which is the Earth experiment, is that we're essentially moving into a hybrid race, which has happened. We've got lots of different star origins, and how can I explain this one? Lots of different things where we've all come together to play out a grand experiment.
Hybrid physically or hybrid spiritually?
Both.
So there are, would you say, extraterrestrial beings here breeding with us to produce physical hybrids between human and their DNA?
That's already happened a long time ago.
Right. We're talking Anunnaki sort of era?
Well, it depends on which Anunnaki, because it's been used so many times. Like the way that I know the Anunnaki, reading through the Akashic and having some experience, there's 5 different types.
Right.
And
so 5 different visitations.
They've never left. They've always been here.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So you got that, and then you've got, the Palladian seedings, and then Syrian. It's almost countless. When you look at it, I can't even be able to bring a thing into it.
Well, so I'll help you. So
Go for it.
For example, that Sumerian theory that they came down, they took the race of beings, whatever it was at this particular time,
Yep.
and bred them as effectively a helper/slave race.
Yep.
Is that pretty bang on, or?
Close.
Right.
So even that there is similar to the Bible, where they've inserted stories for control.
Mm-hmm.
So
you reckon the Sumerian tablets back then were being manipulated for control at the time as well?
Because the big thing that's going on at the moment is a collapsing of the time wars. There's been huge things happen with time. So you got beings that have leapfrogged through time to get themselves into this situation. Now, as of about 3 months ago, the opposite parties, so to speak, and we'll even say the zealots, are actually at the table talking. And it's the first time that they're actually at the table talking for, I reckon, about 8,000 years.
Okay.
And the being, if you're speaking about Anunnaki, the being known as Anu has essentially kind of told his queens and the hierarchy of the planet that they're on their own. He's got his own dramas to figure out.
Approximately where are they?
Who?
Anu and the kings and the queens. Is where a question that can be asked?
Yeah, that can be.
Yeah.
Yeah. He would be near the border of China and
so
Russia
on
at the
Earth.
moment.
So
Yeah, he's on Earth.
I was
He
expecting to see
cannot get off Earth. He cannot get off Earth. He's stuck here at the moment.
the border of China and where? Sorry.
Russia.
Okay.
Yep.
Right. And living in quiet, like not visible to the public.
No, well, they're up there. It's high up in the mountains and stuff like that. Like through the Himalayas, there's huge amounts of bases. There's Palladian base.
Yep.
Yeah, it's yeah.
Is there a particular reason why they're there? Is it because of
Inaccessible,
energy?
inaccessible to humans.
Okay.
Yep. And then you've got the inner Earth beings as well, which we would call the Agarthan network and stuff like that. They're at the table now as well, but we're essentially going to move through a disclosure process where we're going to find out that a lot of our myths and legends and stuff like that we think of gods have actually just been
Those guys
there,
like the jinn and all that.
Well, the jinn, that's an interesting topic at the moment. There's lots of compression going on in the lower astral at the moment as there's more light coming through. And the jinns are essentially stuck. And there's a lot of them that are moving now more into a Fey frequency, but a lot of them that have been used.
What's a Fey frequency? You've said it twice. I had no idea.
Yeah, say more fairy, elf.
Oh,
type,
right, okay.
Yeah,
Cool. Is that FAE, is it?
Yeah, FAE. Yeah.
Right,
So
right.
kind of Lord of the Rings type stuff would be
Okay.
a perfect example. Like, for instance, if anybody is a member of the Illuminati, they need to study that book.
Right.
Lord of the Rings, Tolkien, yeah.
Probably Atlas Shrugged as well, but sure.
Yeah,
sure,
exactly,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah. And once you understand that, you'll be much easier to control. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Okay. Oh, that's interesting. Anu's stuck here.
Yep.
Why? Is it that classic the old classic, mate? The old lowered your vibration to choose to be born here, got stuck in physical things, can't get back out.
Well, here is where the drama's playing out. Okay, most of the, we'll say, galaxy at the moment has gone through a transition, specifically in Orion as well. There's a lot of stuff going on through there at the moment. But they're stuck here because they need to go through that shift and in the vibration because they're so stuck. And with how low that they've gone, being they're really fourth dimensional, fifth dimensional beings, that they're drawing the fourth into this drama. Now they're stuck here. Yeah. So it's very interesting with everything that's happening in regards to the drama of free will and domination and control. Those two there are playing themselves out. And we have the zealot thing going on as well, where there's beings that are so stuck in their own backside that they can't see a step forward. And they're being forced to make choices that they're just stuck on both sides as well.
Who are the good guys?
Good question, because even them, some of them have got their own agenda to piggyback off what we're about to go through in the next probably 9 years.
Who are the bad guys?
Bad guys, you say the Dracos, the Anchara, and stuff like that. But yeah, a lot of their stuff's being exposed at the moment as well.
Are they the guys deep down in the earth working with the US military, those guys that you hear about, they got bases, man, those guys?
Well, a lot of those bases have been cleared. They got cleared a while ago.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but even then, a lot of those bases got cleared, and then other beings moved in.
So when you say cleared, you mean a subterranean? These questions are okay, right?
Yeah, keep going, mate. Keep going. Yeah.
Yeah. Are you saying like subterranean battles kind of cleared, like the way you'd clear a case of rebels, or cleared in another way?
A bit of both.
Yeah, because I've heard whistleblowers come forward and say, like, I'm missing my hand because I was battling fucking aliens in this base out in wherever the fuck it was, I can't remember. And I've read and heard interviews with dudes that said, I was totally there and it was fucking terrible. Their weapons were phenomenal and we busted the shit out of it. And I'm disabled permanently because of that particular firefight.
Well, there's a whistleblower that's come forward at the moment, Corey Good and David Wilcock, and some of the information that he's bringing forth at the moment is, wow. Absolutely wow.
I liked David Wilcock for a while, and then sort of recently, maybe I'm just getting grumpy and old, I've sort of, I don't know, it's not resonated as much with me. Or maybe he's just run out of stuff. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, probably the same. Well, I fell off David for a while as well. But then when Corey Good came forward, I was like, wow, this guy here. And then some of the stuff he talks about is, he knows his stuff. He really does. And some of the stuff that
How do you know he knows?
Good question.
Yeah, good question. Because I've had experiences with some of the inner earth stuff, and some of the things there that he spoke about, specifically the Isis womb and the way that they dress and present, was like, wow, okay, he's definitely onto something. And he's spoken specifically about the backside of the moon and what the moon's actually used for.
Which is?
Well, essentially the moon is like a neutralized base where, you can have meetings and stuff like that where, say me and you aren't friends, but we've got a common interest in some, projects we've got going on Earth. We'll use the moon to communicate and then, just keep a watchful eye. Like if you're into military, perfect place. Perfect. Yeah.
Fascinating.
But even like as what I was saying, within a timeline perspective, we are going to know as a collective within the next 12 months a lot of that type of information, and that's what's going to split the collective as well, because some people are going to be in shock.
Some will, and I listen to Coast a lot.
Yep.
Millions and millions and millions of people every night listen to this thing. It's got a higher listenership than any TV show, than any viewership of any TV show of the United States. And this stuff comes up every 2 days.
Yep.
At least once a week, you know what I mean? Stuff that's really right down this deep path of whistleblowery, I saw this, and it's really just anecdotal most of the time, because how can it not be? Now, if there's millions and millions of people listening to that, and I've gone back to Art Bell days, right the way back. I've spent a lot of
love Art Bell.
Yes. I've spent a lot of time on a lot of trains, so I've had the time to do it. And when Coast to Coast got boring, I'd go right back to the 90s or whatever. I'd go right back.
Yep.
So this kind of information, the way I see it, it's been out for fucking ever.
It has,
right?
Definitely.
And nobody does a good goddamn thing about it. Or that's the way I see it. Yes, there's a million books being out, and if you can sell a book, that's brilliant. And if you can come on and do an interview, that's brilliant. But the way I see it, I maybe I'm missing something, but I get to the end of reading something or listening to something, and I go, great. Well, maybe this is a good question for you. What does Johnny Punchclock do about all this? What does Jimmy off the street do?
Very good one. I'm glad you asked that one, because for me, the first part of awakening really is into the conspiracy stuff. And then when you start to understand the Babylonian money magic and the magic that's being played around us, It's when you can start to look at that and understand that there's an illusionary type of perception that's been taken place. And then you start to take the inward path. And then from there, that's when you can choose to start to activate your own extrasensory perceptions or your own abilities and start to really tackle with that there and start to understand your own passage and pathway. And then when that starts to uncover, you'll start to understand a little bit more about your past lives and, you know, more of that type of stuff. I think at the moment everybody wants to be so inundated with, you know, what's going to happen next week or, you know, this here and stuff like that, that we're really missing the perception of like, okay, well, you know, when's it time to start to make that inward pathway and start to bring down the strands of your higher self that have essentially been cut off since the time of Atlantis.
Let's say 1 million people in Australia. Let's say we took 1 million Australians, we put them all in the middle of the desert, and we ran them all through either ayahuasca ceremony, a DMT ceremony. Yep. We got them to speak to a psychic, or we got them to meditate. So effectively, you know, one of 5, or if not several of 5 different ways to go inside, either by cheating with drugs or by hard work with meditation or something like that. Or we fasting, or we fucking kill them but revive them real quick, or whatever, right? Yep. Would 1 million of those people, out of 1 million, what percentage do you think would just go, oh great, I'm gonna move to Peru as well and just fuck over the environment over there? Like what percentage of people do you think would go off on a path the same way you did? And what do you see where I'm going with this question?
Yeah, definitely.
Do you think if everybody, you know, because you see, where am I going? Every time I do something like this, what's the result? It's everything's going to be okay, Martin. Chill out. Right?
Yeah.
I know I'm sounding very cynical. I am, but
no, you got to be.
You do, right? So you can see where I'm going with this question. It's not quite formulated, but it's almost there. Would you think out of if you took 1 million randoms off the street and ran them through this thing, what do you think would happen? Let's just go with that. What do you think would happen to the general population of those?
Wow. All right. First of all, for me, it'd depend on their energy signature. Mm-hmm. And if they're able to start to connect with soul family, like that was probably a big thing for myself, being able to connect with soul family, who are essentially, you know, soul family. Mm-hmm. With that, there starts to, you know, really heighten yourself up. So these
are spiritual beings, or part of the oneness, effectively on the other side that you've made agreements with, etc. Down here to
they're a part of your monadic structure, essentially. Yeah,
right.
So you know. For instance, when was that? It was at the beginning of the year. There was a ceremony that took place in Argentina, and it was a group of, I think, about 7 or 8 women. Mm-hmm. And essentially what they were able to do, because they had specific men and specific men energy present, and they were all of, let's say, Arcturian seed. And what they were able to do was activate certain gateways on the planet, and some pretty crazy things happen there. So, you know, getting back to what you were saying, if people can essentially connect with their lineage, you know, that's where the magic really happens. You know, there's been countless stories throughout history where, you know, women around the circle, you know, beating a drum, and you know, some pretty amazing things happen there. Like, I think there was one in Australia that Lisa Harrison spoke about a couple of years ago, where, you know, they were foreseeing that there was going to be an earthquake through the middle of Australia, and a lot of grandmothers and aunties and stuff like that, you know, went to this area, and even some Native Americans came across, and, you know, they sat there for like, you know, 30 hours just beating away, just to calm the effects of that there. So, you know, when you start to understand your connection with the earth and be able to really sense that there, that's when things start to open up. Like with some other people that, well, they've done it themselves. It's just helped them be able to start to tap into the, let's say, the earth mysteries. Some amazing things happen where you're able to go, okay, cool. You've got a question and you can sit and go, okay, cool, let's look at it.
So do you think 1 million people would quit their jobs and go on to do...
Oh, it'd be amazing to think so. I'd go the 10% rule.
10% would.
Yeah, that's what I've kind of put it down to with that. Yeah.
There'd be 10% as well that just go, oh shit, that's not for me. I don't want to do that again.
No, well, if anybody walks this path, the big thing is that your old life falls apart very quickly, and even the way that you have to maneuver and have communications with people.
Yeah, your old relationships to fall
apart
as well.
And then people
Fucking
just
A.
like you've gone. What's happened to you, mate? You've drank too much jungle juice.
Used to be cool.
Yeah, have you bumped your head? And it's like, nah, man, I'm cool. I'm cool. Yeah.
Anyway, I think the whole idea, it's the idea that there's separation's illusion anyway. I think it's, the more I think about that, the more I mean, that's something for a long period of time, I've believed in. That's an illusion. That is, we are really one consciousness. It's only one thing going on here. Everyone, it is, I mean, look at, even from a mathematical point of view, my family, so there's, 4 people, so there's, set of parents, and then my parents had parents, so it's 4. So it doubles and doubles and doubles. So it's like that story of, Kubla Khan, trying to find that game, and the guy that showed him this magnificent game that he loved, and he said, okay, I'll do whatever you want, and said, okay, well, grain of rice on the first square, second square, double it, third time. By the time I got to, I think the third square of the second row, it was just like the mathematician went over and said, Your Majesty, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
So if you look at that in terms of, so that's what, we're talking 11 generations, only just 11 generations. So, if you keep going back, man, you realise eventually everyone's going to be a distant relative of someone else. You know what I mean? So
exactly. Yeah.
It's so even from that perspective, purely with numbers and maths, there's a connectivity right there. There is a unity. So
yeah.
That's the way I see it right now. And that's,
yeah, well, you're spot on. When you're able to start to tap into that and say multi-dimensional capacities that everybody has, you'll for myself right now, I'm aware of we'll say 5 other versions of myself. Now there's one on Ganymede, there's one in the Sirius system. I won't get too much into the other ones, but I'm able to communicate with them, just like that now, through going through the process that I went through, choosing to go through remembering rather than learning. So rather than emptying than filling up.
What's something that we should be warned about? Something more so than just the Earth, the energy vibration changes or those sorts of things. Is there anything looming that we as a population should be warned about that you know of?
Not so much. A lot of a drama. We've got past. We're a little bit behind schedule at the moment, but that's okay. Probably the big one is the misinformation. There's that much of it at the moment, and behind it as well, there's NLP and all types of other stuff encoded in it that will follow down a path. A good example of it is this whole flat Earth nonsense. Mm-hmm. It's essentially divided a lot of people, and they're arguing about it and all the rest of it. But where's it really going?
You mean people are starting to argue again that the Earth could still be flat, or
people are arguing that it's flat, and it's like, well, how is that really relevant? 3-4 months ago, everybody was really starting to connect in and stuff like that, and then once again, it's been flipped to an external perception.
Wait. There are people on the Earth that are coming forward on blogs and shit and saying,
man, it's become like
the Earth is flat.
Let's class this, say, the Truther movement,
right?
Have essentially jumped on this whole bandwagon now, going, the Earth's flat, and
right?
All the rest of this type of stuff. So cool.
These are people who've never travelled or done anything at all effectively with their lives.
No.
Or looked at the horizon from a height.
No.
I see.
And
I
then
see.
even people who are experiencers.
Yeah.
They're going, oh, no, they're not experiencers anymore. It's like, well,
right.
Okay.
What about World War III, or what about
won't happen.
So where Russia and China and the US and all of that are at the moment with their, they're fucking about. They're fucking about a lot.
The Pentagon is essentially working with Russia.
Working with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen hints of technology backwards and forwards where it's like, hang on a second, you guys are working together. The split has happened
between the CIA. Big
right,
time.
Right.
Now you've got more of the positive people who have woken up and been given the information about what's really been at play. Now you'll see, which is essentially will happen over the next 3 or 4 months, is more of the drug disclosure.
Okay. Yep.
where, a lot of the drug money that's being used for their black ops and stuff like that is being turned off. Now, the big thing in Syria is about Stargate technology.
Okay.
And there's a specific portal in Syria that is a goddess portal that is,
Is it a working Stargate?
Yes and no. It depends on where the Earth is.
And where Richard Dean Anderson is at the time. Yeah. Yeah, right.
Who's that fella?
He's the guy that played... He'll always be a MacGyver to me, but he was the star of Stargate.
Oh, yeah, cool, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So what do you do with this information? So how do you help people? So you've got a gift, okay?
I don't usually all that type of information there. Some friends and stuff like that. They'll ring me and be like, "What's going on at the moment?" and I'll help them out. But essentially, when people come to me, it's more of the coaching side of things, which I'll class as, all right, let's go through your own awakening process and guide them in their own self discovery. And then when they can come to me with their questions. That's when the permissions open up from a free will or free choice perception to go, okay, well, you're ready for this now, so let's go.
So from a self-discovery, when you talk about self-discovery, you're talking about you're taking them on a pathway to learning how to love themselves?
Yeah, for me, that would be secondary. The first part is really understanding who they are, because we've taken on so many ideas of who we are. We've created personalities that actually don't reflect who our heart is. So to start to break down those, then you can start the inward path to the heart, and then you can start to open yourself up from there. Because usually when you get to there, what I've noticed is a lot more people will start to go, okay, cool, I need to clean my body up. Then when they clean their body up and they start to feel good, it's big difference when you get rid of some toxins and drop some crappy weight and, give McDonald's the ass.
Yes. Dolores Cannon, you heard of her?
Yes.
Is she bang on? Is she right?
Pretty close.
She's pretty close?
Yeah, she's
So
pretty close.
The way she's getting her information is reasonable?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's the stuff that she spoke about with Nostradamus is spot on.
Yep. Volunteer souls?
I didn't get into that stuff there.
People, souls volunteering to be born on Earth.
Yep, you're
to
one of
help
them.
to help raise the vibration of the Earth.
Yep.
Michael Tsarion.
Michael Tsarion, wow.
Is he right?
A lot of his stuff, Michael Tsarion, wow, how can I explain this? He's
Forgive me for just going. Fuck,
go
bang,
go for it.
Is he-
Michael Tsarion is a let's say a history keeper.
Yeah.
So he's been here for a long time. So
Yep.
a lot of his stuff, and I think going more the esoteric route and stuff like that, there's some beautiful keys for people who understand or start to move into magic and understand that he gives you some huge bits of information that some people would gloss over. But yeah, he's bang on. He's a very powerful dude as well.
Done a fair bit of work studying that guy for a little
Yeah.
while there. I thought his Atlantis work that he did, that 3.5 hour,
absolutely magnificent. Same as what was it, the Oracles and Origins, or
yeah, I think so.
wow,
Yeah.
that there was when did I get into that? I think that was 2009. When I got into that, I had to take the next day off work. My mind was blown. Yeah, I was blown.
Agreed. It didn't matter whether it was right or wrong. It was just the fact that a motherfucker could compile it all and make it all kind of seem like it fucking works. It actually makes it seem like it's kind of right. It could just be clever grabbings from all these, these ancient texts. Like, well, see, it makes sense that, Lucifer was actually a planet that was destroyed between blah, 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 because A, B, C, this race points to it, these guys point to it, these guys point to it. That's probably what it was, not being a luminous, glowing, extra large object in the sky, that sort of shit. And so Graham Hancock, you're okay with him?
Yeah, Graham Hancock, yep.
Yep.
His work that he done with, I forget his name.
Robert Bauval?
That's it, yeah.
Yeah.
That challenged the establishment big time. They were not ready for that. That's why they attacked him.
Zahi was fucking hates him.
They attacked him, because he came out with some stuff there that, even the Egyptologist had, they're holding on to, the truth, really. And he's just come out and gone boom. And
what's the truth in that case? What is the truth?
You're referring to the Belt of Orion alignment of the Great Pyramids at Giza, yeah?
that one there, and obviously with the Sphinx as well, lining up with Leo.
Right.
And that takes you back to what, 25,000 BC or something along that.
12,500 BC, yeah.
There we go.
Yep.
Yeah. So, the way you have a look at, Egypt in a thing that they don't muck around with that stuff. They
No.
do things for purpose, and you start to look at that and it's like, wow, that was one of the things that woke my dad up. You know, my dad, you know, was playing the game, so to speak, with chasing the ghost. And when I think the series was called Magical Egypt, when he seen that, you know, he pressed pause after it, watched the first 2 episodes with him, and he was like, I've always known this.
Yep.
You know, and I was like, yeah. And the same as with some other people, that's been one that I'll show and go, have a look at this. And then they'll be like, I've always known. It's like, of course you've always known.
Zecharia Sitchin, the work with the
He was helped out.
Okay.
Yeah, he was helped out with some of the translations and stuff like that as well. So, once again, some misinformation being brought forth. But that'll be cleared very soon.
Okay.
When you're talking about a revelation, so are you saying a lot of this there's going to be a day when, like a press conference and someone
won't so much come from
how these things get revealed and how's it going to help the average Joe on the street?
It's happening now more and more, but
how though?
Well, just even through the general media, like NASA, even though they lie a lot, you know, they've just started to release what was it, Planet Sears or something like that has lights, and you know they're just starting to prep things up, but essentially we're going to find some documents that go back to like Alexandra era and stuff like that. That they'll be not so much found, but people will come across them who are just like, you know, your average Joe that will go, this needs to go out on the internet, so it won't actually come from an establishment control.
Right. Okay.
And they will have no other opportunity.
And hopefully it won't be just discredited immediately and disproved and
well,
thrown out.
Of course it will be, but then you know, people will start to go, well, hang on a moment, on a moment here, because that's essentially what we're all kind of going through. Is you know, people need to be questioning a lot more. Like I think last night, I watched the news for like 5 minutes, and there was something on there about blood pressure. You know how it's 1:30 now, and you can choose to sharpen your diet up and have exercise, or there's a pill.
Right.
You know, so even the money magic of Big Pharma, they know that, you know, once the stuff with marijuana and some other herbalism starts to come out, they're
in a bit of trouble.
Oh, big time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they're taking pretty sweet precautions. I mean, making the statement law that only a drug can cure a disease, that was a good move for them.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Beautiful move.
It was well played.
Well played.
That's what I mean. A lot of people, probably once upon a time myself as well, with jumping on the conspiracy thing, you have to look at it from what I'll class as a sacred neutral perspective and go, well, that was well played. It was well played. You know, whoever thought of that to play that chess move, it was
brilliant. Taking ephedra, something that's been used in Chinese medicine for 5,000 years, synthesizing it, and then making ephedra illegal. Gold.
Well played. Well
Thank
played.
you. High five.
You got to tip your hat to that stuff.
That's some fucking gold moves right there. Yeah. Pseudoephedrine. What a moneymaker pseudoephedrine is. Don't get me started. Yep.
Yeah.
Who runs the show, in your opinion? Or
at the moment, it's completely fractured. And Earth Mother has more decision making with things at the moment. That is
more so than the Bilderbergers.
Bilderbergers are split big time. All the families, the Illuminati, are all split. Yeah. If anyone wants to understand with what's going on at the moment, I highly suggest they listen to Simon Parkes. He's in the know. He knows.
Parx or Parkes or something like that?
Parkes.
Cool.
Yeah, Simon Parkes. He knows a lot. Yeah.
So I guess up at the top level, if you will, because I believe, you know, as is the macro, so is the micro. I mean, at your local cricket club, you know, you're going to have a little. Yeah. You're going
to have the secretary. You're going to have the treasurer.
Treasurer, president, all that, and shenanigans and tomfoolery and all that sort of stuff. And so then invariably there's going to be, you know, a few arguments about, no, we're going to put him second drop. No, he's going to bat a third drop. No, he can't be. So I can't imagine that at the top level, the guys who run all the corporations, the bankers and all that kind of stuff. I'm sure they're not all, you know, when there's a Bilderberg meeting, when there was one, I'm not surprised. I mean, it's just, you know, human nature. I mean, conflict, ego, power.
Well, it's a committee. It's just a committee, right? So shit's going to fucking go.
Shit's going to go down. And someone's ego is going to, or nose going to get pulled out of joint and decide, oh, fuck you, I'm going to take my very big bat and very big fucking ball and go home. And I'm sure that it means, traditionally people associate Illuminati, money, all the, the Morgans and the Rothschilds, it's just a, bunch of fucking cunts. But I'm sure even amongst that swill, there's got to be some good guys. There's got to be some guys.
They are, and they're actually...
I cannot believe that there can't be at least some guys who at least have some shred of okayness about them. You know what I mean? They can't all be cunts.
Well, essentially,
really?
Even though it's not looking like it at the moment, but we'll see more in the next couple of months, is that we'll class them as white hats, are essentially in control of a lot more than what's happening at the moment. Yeah, the white hats.
The white hats,
Yeah, and they're forcing the old structure to essentially crumble. Like, I don't know.
Like big oil.
Well, even that, that's paying for stuff that's going on Mars, and all that type of stuff as well. So that there is all falling apart. The magic of the courts as well. Anyone here who sit there and you look at magic, you go, how do you need to summon a being? When you go to a court, you've got a magi straight who summons you, and you whole capital letters and all the rest of that type of stuff there. So that whole magical structure is falling apart. They don't have it. Where the Pope at the moment, who is the white Pope, is also the black Pope of the Jesuits. They're trying to pull some things together and all that type of stuff, which whatever they're doing is not working. Then you got the Zionist faction as well, who are trying to go out in a blaze of glory, who they've been isolated now by the Pentagon and Russia and all the rest of that type of stuff. So some huge moves being going on. And here in Australia, our little satellite depot, which is almost like a trial ground for everyone everywhere else in the world, is people are really just starting to question things going on now as well.
Is Alex Jones just a shill for some CIA government?
Oh, he's an interesting one, Alex Jones. I have a listen to him every now and then, just to have a laugh.
Me too.
I like when he goes on his rants, just waiting for him to have a heart attack one day.
I read, I'm an insider, I'm an Illuminati insider, ask me anything, all right? I went right through it, and people were asking him, what do you think of this guy? And as soon as it came to Alex Jones, he put Jones and Icke in the same category, obviously, because they're pretty similar to what they do. He said, those guys need to watch out what they're doing, because by telling people that this bad shit's happening, whether it's happening or not, people believe that it's happening, so they're creating it.
Exactly right.
These fucking FEMA camps and all that. He's like, we found all these boxes, and these millions and millions of boxes all stacked up in fucking Pennsylvania, man. And they're, you know what they are? They're fucking coffins for the fucking apocalypse.
Well, that's
careful, man.
What you were speaking before about Dolores Cannon, when she spoke about, the splitting of the earth.
Yeah, I was going to mention that before. Yeah.
Yep. And that's essentially what's kind of going on, where people follow more of the positive timeline that are in, let's say, more of a neutral perspective that can see everything as a whole and then choose, what their principles are of integrity to move in that direction. And then there's others that need the chaos to survive.
And the fear.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Alrighty. Well, on that note, we're going to call it.
Oh, cool.
Because we've done about over 45 minutes. So.
Nice one. Beautiful. Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for letting us on today, guys.
It's been different. It's been certainly very different and interesting and just fascinating. I said I find this stuff, it's fascinating. There was a time when I was first introduced to this that a friend of mine who was overseas and he told me he couldn't sleep for weeks. He was just shitting himself and he talked about, David Icke was his first port of call with all this stuff. And then he watched Alan Jones and then he was just wailing on one day just about, reptilians and people are taken into Middle Earth and they're just, all these children are missing in America every year or Mexico and they're all being, sacrificed. And I, for a while I got caught up in it too, and losing sleep and all this.
I think that's a part of really the first part of the awakening process, where you get yourself stuck into it, and you're like, wow, where's the way out of this?
Yeah, and and then I just thought, okay, well, after things kind of started to settle down a bit, I thought, okay, well, my outside world is reflecting my inside world. So if I keep thinking about this and just on over and over and over, and there was a while I was watching videos on YouTube and it was just like, fuck, you know.
The media's been doing it to you for 100 years.
Well, absolutely.
It's
It's
war. It's war.
Yeah,
It's with the Russians. The Russians, they're bad.
Yeah,
and then
that's it. I mean, the media simply have one job, and that's to get your attention.
Yeah.
Simple.
Yeah.
Simple. It's just to get their attention. And then because people have this need for certainty, they're sort of saying, look, you know, they're hitting your amygdala. It's just this toxic poisoning, if you will, by stealth, you know, just constantly dripping you, just day in, day out. And so, but by the same token, also offer, you know, I mean, that's what news is. News is not news.
No.
It's not news at all. There's nothing news about it.
It's ideology. It's,
you know. Yeah. And so, and ultimately for what? You know, it's about, you know, to get your attention. The more people's attention they get, then they can justify and go and see, you know, Martin Green Enterprise and say, hey, listen, here's our rate card for advertising because we've got X amount of people, you know, tuned in, just zoned into our station, you know. So, and you know, Martin's he's completely cut himself off from mainstream. I dabble in from time to time, but I know ever since I've stopped, really just cutting myself off from, you know.
I'll just say this on I'll say this on a closing note. If anyone can cut themselves off from the mainstream, what they're going to notice specifically is the, let's say, word magic that's coming through from NLP and all the rest of that type of stuff moves the hypnotism out of them. And same as radio. Radio's a big one. And then as they move out of that, it allows more of their subconscious to become present within their middle kingdom, and they can start to access their frontal lobes a lot more.
Turn off your television, kids.
Turn it off.
Yes.
If you're going to watch anything, download it and watch it in your own time.
Ad free. Absolutely. Grant, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Thanks for answering.
Really...
thanks for answering my rapid fire questions about this and that. It's why not? You know, it's a good opportunity. So I very much appreciate it. Thanks, man.
Oh, thanks.
Good on you, buddy. Good to have you.
Cheers.
All right. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you.
See you soon.
Oh, before you go, just one more time. Grant's website. It's your website?
GrantEagles.com.
GrantEagles.com, and it'll be down there somewhere.
Yep, and no doubt you'll put up
all that shit.
All our shit.
All that
shit.
All that shit.
Up there.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you very much, guys.
Peace out.
See you next time.
Cheers.